you can simplify a lot with that. Going, okay, so what are actually my feelings? What am I actually in control of? What can I actually do to help a situation?
I'm a pretty positive person. Like, I'm not looking to piss in somebody's Cheerios and ruin their day.
I got my first Mother's Day gift as a stepmom.
You did?
I did, and it's a mug.
Adorable.
So it's gone, it's gone. Now we both moved on. Oh, that's la la life. That's la la life. Baby, let it be. Enjoy the memory.
Cheers! And welcome to episode 9. I'm getting really
Episode 9?
But episode 9 of Fuck Your Podcast. I'm Emma Pardo.
And I'm Katy Martin. And what are you drinking today?
Drinking water. I'm on a health kick, right? I still haven't been on, well, I lied. I had soda on the rare occasion, but after stopping soda, side note to anybody that knows my love for Pepsi, after stopping, I find that like I'll have a craving for it and then I'll have it and I won't be able to like drink as much as I was before. Like I won't even finish a can, right? It'll be a couple sips like, okay, that's fine. I don't want it anymore. Mm-hmm. Anyway, water though.
Oh, that is. No, mine has lemon in it. And same thing. I haven't had any cocktails or any kind of alcohol in like 3.5 weeks.
See, I can't say that.
Which I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but like I was literally trying to shock my body into like doing something, like where I could lose some weight and not feel like crap, and it did make a difference. So
yeah, I'm just excited that I want to get into like running again, because when I was a freshman in college, I was able to run like a 7:16 mile or something.
Really?
It was under 8 minutes, and I was so excited about it. Yeah. And then I haven't run in however long that's been, 7 years.
Yeah.
And running a 9-minute 30-second mile last night, I was like, who am I? Like, I need to go run a marathon. No, I just was excited. I was like, okay, maybe I can get back into this. Like I did it without stopping. And it's so, I found that it's so true that running is so much more mental than it is physical.
I would agree.
Because it was like
at all
before when I would go to run a mile when I was really out of shape, I would stop and walk. But like last night, I'm like running on my treadmill in my garage and I'm like, you know what? Like, let's be tough mentally and let's like go through it. And I ran a mile without stopping to walk, and I was proud. Okay.
Good. I know that's an accomplishment.
So,
because there's people that run and there's people that have never ran. And I can say that I've never ran. The impact on my ankles were always really bad. And so
given the circumstance,
I got to a point where I could book it pretty well on like an elliptical for a few miles. But not even a few, maybe two, before like my body was about to give out. But I'm not a runner, and I don't know. It could be a challenge that if I tried to do that, but I don't know.
But running is intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
It's super intimidating. Given that it's not hard to do, it's intimidating.
I saw a TikTok of that comedian Bert Kreischer. Is it Kreischer?
Bert Kreischer. I love him.
Yeah. So he was telling a story about how he walked into a shoe store, and he's like, he asked the guy, he's like, where are you?
Oh, I saw this.
And he goes, like, who's it for? And he's like, or no, he goes, what do you get? No, not who's it for. It was,
what are you going to use it for?
What are you going to use them for? And he's like, running.
He's like, oh, right. Okay. Was it the one with, because Meghan Trainor was like.
Meghan Trainor.
Yes. He's like, yeah, I'll send my trainer over. And she's like, you have a trainer?
I was like, that was a dick thing to say.
But also, like, I see where she was coming from. And she wasn't meaning it mean. It just was like, you have a trainer?
Have you ever known, like, there's some dudes that, like, they don't necessarily look in shape. Or maybe they're just like an older guy who's somewhat fit, but maybe has the beer belly. But have you ever seen like those guys that are like semi-fat, but they can haul ass? Like they still play like adult.
So Cole is behind the camera raising his hand because he's one of those people. He is not like, when you think of somebody that could go really fast, you think of this like tiny,
tiny,
robust human. Yep. Like, no, Cole is like fast, and he's just a thicker dude. He's not fat. He's just thicker.
Yeah.
Like muscular.
I think it's funny because I see, there used to be people that I would like I'm not going to mention names, but like, I remember going and watching people play like softball and stuff like that, and like
Mhm.
watch them book it around the bases. I was like, damn, dude, like that's impressive. So the next person that calls you fat, I'm gonna be like, well, he could outrun you in a foot race. Like, there's just some people. But so that's what I thought of when I saw that video, because I remember, and this was years and years ago, like watching somebody that I knew who was getting pretty tubby, like especially in the belly,
Yeah.
whip it around the bases. I was like, okay, you know what? I can't run that fast.
No. And that was the last day you ever judged a book by its cover.
Exactly. 100%. So podcast topic that we were just going to kind of get into is
I
like,
know, we
it's more of like
went on a little rant.
no, it's fine. It's like more of like a life catch up. We got a lot of things going on. We skipped a week last week.
It's just been hectic. Everything.
Yeah, and it was more of a conscious decision, because like when we're doing this, you got to be in the right frame of mind.
Right.
And some people are like, well, if you just did it consistently, it's like, well, shit, we did it consistently for 8 weeks. So
2 months, 2 full months of podcasts.
right. And so, we just took a break because there's just been a lot of things going on. There's been a lot of things going on the team,
Right.
everybody. It's not just, but man, like getting towards the end of the school year, I know for me is nuts. Just things that are going on, and like, I don't know, right? When I step back and think about it right now, I'm like, shit, we're doing a lot. Like all of us got a lot of shit going on.
Life
Big
is
changes.
it's just life happening.
Right.
And
there's
that's
just
as simple as
bigger-
it gets.
And there's just bigger things in life that happen than your day-to-day stuff. Like when you have, the curveball thrown at you, or something bad happen, or, like there's fucking life happens. And that's what I want to talk about today, because it's tough for people that are just working a full-time job. And then if you're a business owner and you're trying to run a business, and you're trying to hold that fine line together of like not letting your shit, or like your bag of shit, like come into the business, but at the end of the day, we're human.
Right.
So sometimes like it's just okay to be tired. Sometimes it's okay to be emotional. Sometimes
Right.
it's okay. Like for those, and this is like a message for anybody, like again, per our like conversation earlier in the day, I'm a pretty positive person. Like I'm not looking to piss in somebody's Cheerios and ruin their day, but there's just some days where like you're not going to have great days. And people that are posting on social media that it's like, only high performers, like it's like shoving your emotions down, and it's positivity.
Right.
There's nothing, but like the positivity that you put out there is like deliberate practice. Like for me, I really do feel that way, and I feel like I have to share it to be consistent. So that way I'm telling myself the same things that I'm practicing. It's not about being fake. The people who put that shit on all the time, that's fake.
There's a time and a place to break it down and kind of like take that wall down and let
Right.
yourself just be in the moment, whatever you're feeling, whoever you need to be. There's a time and a place for that. But being a business owner, that you have a lot of people following you, whether that's a staff, whether that's the people in your everyday life that know you own this business. You have those people that can see how you react to things and how you behave and how you take on life. And there's, like I said, a time and a place for things to happen. You typically want to keep yourself in a pretty steady mindset. But when you get that curveball in life, that you need to kind of just take the robotic part of being a business owner down.
Right.
Happen,
And it's never perfect. I think the biggest lesson, which this might be a more of the end of the podcast kind of thing, is the more that you can, I don't want to take it to where it's too cheesy, but certain things that can be like systematized, certain things like, and the more that you've created this really strong relationship with the people on your team that you can rely on, then and again, not be that business owner that is taking everything on themselves because it has to be perfect.
Right.
Like, again, you learn how to communicate, you learn how to train, and you learn how to delegate. And then it's not as overwhelming when you feel like you have to take on just the shit that life's going to throw at you.
Right.
And I remember what it was just having a full-time job and working more than full-time for someone else for someone else's company. And I had small kids. I'm not going to get that time back. That time's gone. And
Right.
the juggling then of when you have kids that are too young to be at home by themselves, and you have to worry about childcare, and you have to worry about, you know, making sure that they're fed, and then going to activities and stressing out about picking them up from the after school program. Like,
Right.
that's stressful on just parents in general. Take that on top of owning a business where, you know, your staff feels like another set of children. You've got to support them and encourage them and give them the tools that they need. Not saying that they're children, but you know what I mean.
They're in the infancy stages of being part of the company.
Right.
They're not going to come in knowing everything going guns a-blazing.
No,
you need
literally
to
have-
show them how to come in guns a-blazing, but give
Well-
them all the tools to blaze the guns, if you get what I'm saying.
I mean, and you could probably attest to this for like every like new job that you've had, regardless of what level, or a new business venture, that there is legitimately an infancy stage. Because just because somebody has a particular skill set, you still have to nurture them in the right direction.
But the thing is, like,
so-
that I learned, because I was 8 years at the bowling alley with my parents, right? And for anybody that's old, you know that my parents own a bowling alley. For anybody that's new, hey, my parents own a bowling alley. I worked there for 8 years.
Yeah.
You know, while going to school, and being there for 8 years and understanding more of the ins than most employees do, and then having these high school kids come in to like get jobs, I would be so frustrated because it's like there's going to be times where they're going to think they can make a judgment call and they made the wrong call. And there's times that you have to like let things happen. There's going to be not necessarily crisis, but mistakes that new employees make. And you have to kind of train them through it and go, okay, like, you learned your lesson. This is how we recover from it. And that was something that I learned, and I'm still learning, because I'm so quick to be like, you don't know anything, bye. But not like treat anybody like they're an idiot. It's just like, you have to backtrack and go, okay, did I make sure that I explained this correctly? And if I didn't explain this, I need to explain this now, and kind of brush us off and go from there. But that's something I learned a lot at the bowling alley, just because it was more kids coming in, and I had been seasoned in the industry to where I was just like, if you don't know this by now, like, whatever. I never talked to anybody like that. It's just my thought process behind it.
Yep. That, and you know, when you get to that place, like, let's say you take that next phase, and if your parents were feeling some of that same thing with maybe somebody they were overseeing at the bowling alley, and then one of you kids gets hurt playing a sport, and you know, like, just that. So if you're constantly taking things back off of someone's plate because you know how to do it, then when life happens, then you don't have as many people to rely on, because you
well, and that would happen at the bowling alley. It would be like, I'm the one that runs the leagues. I know how to do this. I know how to do that. I know how to count the money. I know where to store the money. You know, all the aspects that go into it that people don't realize, like, from a competitive standpoint of bowling. And then, okay, the one time I'm sick, I was breaking loose, and I'm working from home while I'm sick because I'm talking through how to do things because I never showed them how to do it, you know? Yeah, definitely learned those lessons early on.
The whole thing with life in general, it's just like, you feel you get to a certain place, either running a business or just in your career in general. Like, again, this podcast could apply. Like, there's definitely going to be things that can be more impactful, or I guess maybe hold a little bit more significance if you do own a business, just because of that level of responsibility. But a lot of this is going to be applicable to anybody, like, in their professional journey, I think, and to where it's not exclusive to business owners, because you are still utilizing it. If it's a job, or if you're running a business, it's providing a living for your family. So if you're not able to give that the appropriate attention, and something happens and you're out of commission, or a family member's out of commission, and you've got to run and do things that are not part of just your normal day to day, like, that makes that really, really, it's stressful. It's challenging.
Right.
And we're human. So sometimes we make not the best decisions, and maybe lack of planning or poor planning, making things more complicated than it really needs to be. I know that it was really tough when you don't think about it, because you don't like, I don't feel as old as I am. And then life kind of catches up with you, where it's like, a few years ago, I'm like, shit, my parents are getting older. And then my dad got sick, and then and it was like a domino effect, where you almost feel guilty when you're not helping contribute, but you also feel guilty when you have to step away from your other obligations. It's like, where's the line? And then constant mental struggle can just weigh on you.
Right.
And you don't really know who to lash out at. So I struggled a ton with this particular time when my dad was really sick, and he'd battled cancer for 5 years.
This was right. Your dad passed right before we met, I believe.
Yeah, my dad passed about, when did we meet? May?
April. No, March. It was the end of March because I started beginning April.
So my dad passed away the August before that.
Yeah.
So his last year of battling cancer, it was rough. It was harder on him. Mm-hmm. He wasn't, we knew the cancer wasn't going to go into remission. But anyway, that last year was a little tough. My mom had her own medical issues and just in general, I tried to sympathize with her as much as I could because I couldn't empathize with her. I didn't have the same issues she did. It was her husband, not her father. So, I couldn't say I understand what you're going through because I didn't. And I tried to do what I could, and she didn't always make it easy to help.
Right.
And so I did what I could. Like if she asked me, like, I need to do something, we did what we could. My brother and I did what we could. But that last year with my dad being sick and his physical health declining and my mom's mental health declining, like simultaneously, and one kind of feeding off of the other, I struggled with that a lot because I wanted to help and she would fight. Like there's some times where you're like, I could give you all of the money and resources that you need to get you help. Just let me help you. And you get some people who are just like, well, no, I don't want a stranger in my house, or no, I don't want someone else to do it. I want you to do it. And it's like, I'm running a household. Like I have a household.
Right.
And I want to help you, but there's going to be only certain ways that I can help you. And it's really tough to like set that aside and have to make that decision of, all right, listen, I will do X, Y, and Z. This is what I can do with what I have, the time I have available to do it. And some people are like, family comes first. I'm like, well, my bills also go, like my bills don't go away.
Right.
And I would have to say that I was given, during that time, I was given quite a bit of flexibility, to take care of what I needed to take care of. And, but it's just that stress, like the mental, what the hell do they call it? It's not like mental anguish, but it's just that whole, the mental load. Like there's certain things that happen where the mental load where you're like, fuck, I don't know if I can handle much more of this because I'm mentally over here, everything, trying to keep everything normal at home.
Right.
And I'm mentally trying to juggle someone's emotions who are, in this instance, unreasonable and out of control sometimes. But it is what it is. I have to deal with it. And then I'm getting the flexibility from work that I need. And then it's like there would be those instances where something would happen at work where I'm like, fuck, just don't make my life harder right now.
Right.
Just please, that's all I'm asking. And so then you feel like the asshole because you are getting the flexibility and then you get something that comes out of left field from work and you're like, Jesus Christ, like give me a break. And then I would do the same thing on the flip side where I was doing as much as I possibly could for my mom, and bless my dad's heart, like he just wouldn't ask.
Right.
Like, I'm like, I can't, like, I call you all the time. I offer, but if you don't ask, I don't know what you need because I'm asking you what you need and you're telling me, oh, I'm fine.
Right. And things are not fine,
No. And
and you know that they're not.
And I'm like, I'll go buy you groceries. Like whatever it is that you need done. You need me to come over and clean the house and do laundry?
No problem. I'll do it. Right.
Just ask me because I have to schedule it. And then when you do something and on the flip side, there were times that I had to like control not flipping the fuck out on my mom.
Right.
Because I'm like, I'm trying to help you. You're not making this any easier.
Right.
And so it's the mental load. Like you get to that place where the mental load is just like, Jesus, like
something that
I
learned.
Give and something's gonna snap. And somehow I didn't. But like there's a lot of a lot of things that you can learn to deal with that, but like shit like that's going to happen. The more that you can the more that you can simplify what you can control is what's going to better equip you to handle the things like that.
What I learned in situations like that, and I haven't had to deal with any health issues with my parents, knock on wood. Like everything's been great. I've got grandparents still, all that stuff. But something I learned when you get to that mental point, and it's not necessarily from helping others, but just with the shit that's going on in your life, and you are still being a pleasant person to you haven't reached that snapping point of being an asshole to everyone. Mm-hmm. Something that I've learned in this phrase is don't let them make you the asshole. And that doesn't mean don't let them get you to the snapping point, but don't let their actions make you feel like you're the jerk in the situation. So situations like that with your mom, not making it any easier, and you snap and then they want to go, oh my God, you are so mean for that. Well, I'm calling you on your shit. You were the reason I'm at this point. That's something that when trying to simplify, when you think about that stuff, taking that mental note going, don't let them make me the asshole. You can simplify a lot with that. Going, okay, so what are actually my feelings? What am I actually in control of? What can I actually do to help a situation?
Yeah.
And go from there.
And that's some people don't realize the value in when you do have close friends or if it's your spouse or somebody that that's gone through. It's like, I just need to complain for about 5 minutes. Just let me get this out.
Yep.
I just need someone to listen to me, not tell me what I need to hear, but just let me get it out. And then where I can take a step back and then process what I need to process and then move on.
Right.
So it's great where it's better when you can process that and say, hey man, I get where you're coming from. Here's what I did in that situation. Like I appreciate when someone says that. As opposed to, yeah, man, she's just crazy. Like, I don't need you to agree with me that she's crazy. I know that she is. I just need someone to say, hey, I just got to get this out. And this is what I'm probably going to do. Like, just somebody say, I'm not crazy. Just tell me I'm not crazy and say, okay, great. I'll support you if that's what you need to do. That's all I need.
Right. And that's the thing that I have valued in our friendship is that I feel like both of us have been on that, like, I support you, but I'm going to be real with you for a second. Right. Kind of situation, which is important to have those people around. Mm-hmm. And just because they're real with you and they present you factual statements, not just necessarily opinion or strong opinions, those are the best people to have around because they're not the people that are always going to agree with you and they're not the people that are always going to disagree with you. No. And they bring a lot of perspective to the table.
Some of the worst friends, honestly, are the ones that will tell you just what they think you need to hear. Right. And it's like, that doesn't help me solve the problem. I would appreciate somebody being honest with me. It like, let me vent and say, yeah. And let me ask you some questions to maybe give you some other perspective. Right. So,
that's something that like you should never be afraid to admit if you're that person that somebody's coming to you, to discuss something. Like the prime example that I have for things in my life when people want to come to me or when there's a discussion about politics, right? Which I try to heavily avoid. I hate talking about politics. Right. But when that situation comes across my plate, I'm going to be straight up honest with you. I'm not educated in whatever political stance that's being discussed right now to have a conversation, to be inclusive in this conversation. Right. So respectfully, I bow out. And there's nothing wrong with saying that. You're not always going to be that person that knows everything. Like I can come to you about something and I would appreciate more you being honest with me than you kind of going, well, you could wing it, and kind of encouraging just like a, I don't know what you could do kind of situation. I would rather have somebody go, you know what, like I don't know enough about this, or I don't have enough context, or I honestly just I couldn't even fathom whatever experience you're going through. So I can't provide anything helpful to you other than this, transparency. Yeah. Basically.
And, and sometimes even let's say in that instance, like the political aspects is different, but I could listen to somebody's political views, regardless if they are in alignment with mine, and not judge them for it. That's their opinion, as long as it's not attacking someone else. That's the only thing that I draw the line. Like if you're using any kind of belief system to hate someone else or to treat somebody poorly, then that's where I would draw the line. Right. And at the end of the day, like expressing frustration in a situation in life is, as long as you're doing it in a constructive way, that's again not attacking somebody else. Like I'll help whoever. Like if there's something that I can offer, if there's something that I can do, I'll help deal with whatever it is that you need, like need to deal
Right.
with. Sometimes not to harp on like my own situation, because there's positive and there's negatives, but I mean, there was literally like 2020, the end of 2020 until the end of 2022. Yeah, like the end of 2022. Holy shit. Like if you could say, hey, what's the worst time in your life? Yeah, that. Like, I mean, holy shit. Like if talking about building character and feeling more like an adult than I've ever felt, like 4 members of my family died in that time.
Yeah.
And
well, I will say 2022, I received multiple texts from you spread throughout the year going, well, this person died. And I'm going, holy shit, Katy. You're like, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, from August of 2020, which, everybody went through whatever it was they were going through in 2020. But, we're coming out of the crazy shit with the pandemic. Like the areas that we lived in, obviously, we weren't locked down. Stuff was starting to feel like it was getting back to normal.
Yeah.
And then August of 2020, my sister died. And it just was like one thing right after the other. And then in combination with what, like everything that's happened professionally, it's like, yeah, I can pretty much say that time frame could have made me or it could have broken me.
Yeah.
And I've come through it fine. And am I in a different situation now? Like, obviously I'm not going to say I'm in a better position because any of my family members have died. It's more of the adversity, like
right.
over the adversity, getting out of it.
I get what you're saying. Yes.
But like getting through it, it's like, shit. Okay. Like we made it. And I'm better for it. I could have been an emotional mess for that, for that time frame.
Yeah.
And, and there's a lot of people, like there's positive things and even like just huge life shifts. I mean, Emily just had a baby and
right.
6 weeks early. Holy cow. Like that could have been a bad thing.
Right.
And, knock on wood, like everything's been, fine. Like the birth was uneventful. Their hospital stay was relatively short. It's been positive, but it's
the best possible outcome for her situation was
exactly,
hey, your baby just beat all of the statistical odds of being this early. Yeah. And you're gonna go home with him after 10 days of being,
was it? Yeah, it was like I was gonna say it was barely
10 days. They had, when he was first born, projected he would be there 3 to 4 weeks. And they're like, day 10 comes around, they're like, oh yeah, like you're good to go. He's good.
And he's just tiny. Yeah. So, and then we do stupid shit like that makes your life more complicated. So I'm looking at my calendar. If you see that I'm looking at my other screen. So not only like, do we have the ability to work remote? I mean, obviously we have our space where we record, but we can pretty much run the company that we run, you and I together, from anywhere. Right. We have the tools. If we have a laptop, we have the tools.
Right.
Sometimes when you don't have an extra monitor, makes things hard. But
it just takes a little bit longer.
Right. We can work from pretty much anywhere. We work shifted schedules. There's times that I've been up at 5 a.m. working or working until midnight and, then not getting up until 8 or whatever. So like,
right.
We have that flexibility when we need to. So I've planned some trips because we bought a camper. We started a tradition. Well, it's like, this is gonna be the 3rd year. So my brother was the one that was way into camping. So we decided my kids like to camp. Justin hates to camp. The only way I'm going to get him to camp, we had to buy a camper. So that way he can sleep in an air conditioned bed as opposed to a hot tent or a cold tent, compared to some of our past trips.
Right.
So anywho, Memorial Day weekend, it's a long weekend. And, we probably aren't going to work like, that Monday. Most of our clients are going to be not working that Monday.
Right.
But anyway, we can prep and do what we need to do around the holidays. So I decided to book the Memorial Day trip. So we're going to leave on Thursday and go to the campsite, set up. We'll be there through the weekend. And obviously we have Wi-Fi. We have everything we need. So anything I need to work on, I can work on.
If you will.
It's kind of like glamping. Yep. I find out Miles has soccer tryouts Thursday night. He has a soccer tournament. And granted, we're in now, and like our camping trip is an hour east of where we live in Illinois.
Okay.
His soccer tournament is at Lufuse Soccer Complex, which is 45 minutes west of where we live. And he might have a game Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Oh no.
And Justin has to work. He has the last day of spring soccer league is Saturday.
Oh no.
And I'm like, well,
Well,
we'll figure it out.
right.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, like just things like that where it's like best laid plans. The tournament was not originally on the schedule. Like, and it's kind of weird that they planned a soccer tournament on a holiday weekend. That's not
Yeah.
really normal. And it's just like we also have a soccer game this Sunday on Mother's Day, which, you know, it's just one soccer game, it's not a big deal. But usually when it's like a big weekend where they know, because they even said, well, let us know if you can't make it. So it's like, is he going to show up and they're going to barely have enough kids on the field to play?
Right.
Because usually you get down to like those last couple games of the season and you're lucky if you have 11 kids show up. So we shall see. But
Yeah.
how are you guys handling things with like Crew's school year coming close? Does it?
So that's what's so crazy is that Crew's mom's having a baby and we're traveling and Crew still has school, and like trying to juggle that whole calendar right now is just it's working. We're figuring it out as one would, but it's a little hectic right now because it's like she's not due until the first week of June.
Yeah.
She's starting to have contractions. She's starting to like go through the motions of like, hey, this I don't know.
Well, what is today?
Today is
The 9th?
May 9th.
Yeah. So if you said her due date's the 1st?
The first.
Oh, so she's fucking over it by now. Like,
Yeah, no, she's any second. She's starting to have contractions here and there, and she's actively trying to encourage labor.
Right. Because it'd be safe at this point, you know? Just
Yeah, exactly.
The last few weeks.
Exactly. So we've got Crew and like trying to work out the schedule. You know, I told her, I said, since luckily having the flexibility of one, being my own boss, and two, working from home, I said, if it is during the week at any time and you're going, oh shit, I'm going into labor, I need somebody to grab Crew because we're the closest to her.
Right.
Like,
And compared to her other family.
yes.
Yeah.
And she said, well, my mom's about the same distance, but I want my mom to come with me
To the
because her
hospital.
husband works 2 hours. He works 8 hours away for 2 weeks at a time with oil field. I don't know exactly what he does. I believe it's oil stuff. And if I'm wrong, sorry, Carly and Tony. Anyway, we had to have this conversation this past weekend at Crew soccer game. It was going, okay, so you can call me at any point. I will drop what I need to drop and go pick Crew up. Like, you don't have to worry about that. The only thing is we're going out of town this weekend, and I'm like, just try not to go into labor this weekend. Like, I don't know what else to tell you.
I mean, if you were going out of town like Memorial Day weekend, I think I would be a little more stressed, but I think she probably will be fine.
Yeah. So we're figuring out that schedule of kind of like, we're obviously living our own life, you know.
Yeah.
We say one big happy family because it's a civil place between everybody, but it's like we're doing our thing, but we're also kind of like having to, with Crew being involved, like I want to be considerate of Crew being able to meet his little brother and all that stuff. So, you know, not taking Crew anywhere for the period of time and kind of just keeping it locked down at home,
Right.
just in case anything happens at any time, because it could be any day.
Yep.
Other than that, you know, as school year's coming to the end, we were talking about that, and he's got his preschool graduation is on the 16th. So we'll go to that, and he'll have his last day of school next Thursday. So it's coming up to the end. The thing is right now with him is we're figuring out what sport he likes and trying to keep him actively happy with sports, because it is Texas heat, and running around on a soccer field seems less exciting when it's 100 degrees out.
But like as hot as it is in Texas, compared to here, I know that Justin's been hiring, and I feel a lot better. I don't know what the hell that I did, but like I think it was towards the end of summer league last year that I did something to my back. Like it was either just like constant inflammation, or like I don't remember an actual injury, but my lower back had been bothering me so bad that like I barely could stand up straight. Like, you know, I had to sit down or I'd have to bend over, and I get it just a little bit, and I'm more active now, but either way, like it was miserable. Like you get to the end of the league, it's so fucking hot. It's coming up on August. You just want to die. And then I can barely walk, and you're out there during the hottest part of the damn day. And so he's like, oh, well, I'm in the process of hiring a couple more coaches. And I'm like, oh, awesome. And he goes, I'm probably going to have them run, league, one of the locations. And he's like, so if you didn't want to work in the summer, you don't really have to. I'm like, that would be amazing. So I can't even imagine because it's just so hot. And then like I wondered when it's that hot, like if they just suck it up and fucking play, because we all know that in Texas they play football, like American football.
Oh my God. Cole says that in the dead of the summer they're doing 2-a-days. Like, and it's insane. It's a different breed down here, I will say. It's crazy.
Yeah, so I just can't even imagine little kids. I didn't know if they played in any kind of indoor facility. There's somebody that I know. I mean, obviously we have indoor places here, but they're pretty booked up. And most of the time in summer, the kids are playing outside. But I wasn't sure if like there's places that you could maybe sign them up for indoor when it's the middle of the summer. They do have
that's the thing. It's like you could see his face get all red and everything. Like kids run around, they go crazy. It happens. But he's the type of kid that's like, I'm sweating, make it stop. Like he freaks out when he starts sweating. So that's something that's been. I'm like, if this kid would enjoy life if video games were a sport. Soccer, just like
teach him how to build video games. Like
he's so athletic, though. That's the thing that is so crazy. Is we try to get him into flag football this season, but they didn't have enough kids, so he went back into soccer. And it's like he'll run up and down the field once. He's like, I'm tired. He's like, I don't want to do it anymore.
I had to coach 3-year-olds this past week. That I think I only had I think it was 3-on-3. So we have we make the fields really short for the teeny tiny kids, but when you have like 3-on-3, there's like they're all running.
Yeah.
And one of them's always like, "Can I be goalie?" Well, no, there's only 3 of you. Like this wasn't.
That's what we did with Crew's last season. The previous season that Crew was in, that's how it was. But they did like 4 on a field. Yeah. Everybody wanted to be the goalie because they got to stand in front of the goal and put their arms all the way out, and their legs all the way out.
And they just hang on it.
Yes. But they just run around in this little herd, and the ball eventually gets out. But it's just like this tiny little herd of tiny humans that run around. So it's different this year because he's on a 6 to 7-year-old team, so they're actually like playing soccer, and so he's learning a lot from that. So
that's also one of those things that you don't think of until you have kids and best laid plans, and then hey, there's a kids sports tournament that you didn't think was coming up,
right?
And you Saturday mornings you start like the little kids. It was crazy. I remember you think you're gonna sleep in on a Saturday morning. Nope, your game is at 8 a.m.
That's what we're dealing with Crew. Like his last season, the games would start, or they have like practice right before games, so they don't do practice any other night of the week. It's like 8 a.m. practice, 9 a.m. game, 10 it's over.
Yeah.
So we were driving 30 minutes away, but it was like I'd have to get up at 6:30 on a Saturday to like get myself showered, get ready to go to the soccer game. And luckily they pushed this season back an hour. Well, I spent my birthday watching 2 soccer games. Like I'm learning. I remember getting on the phone with my dad and he's like, "Oh, what are you doing today?" I'm like, "Well, we're at Crew's soccer games. He's got 2 of them today." He goes, "Well, you chose to be a parent."
Right.
He's like, "I have no sympathy. You chose."
Mm-hmm. Yep. But anyway, that's kind of like things that are going on.
Yeah,
you've got a lot of stuff going.
I got my first Mother's Day gift as a stepmom.
You did?
I did, and it's a mug.
Adorable.
And it's a mug that says "Love the kid that," or "Love the kid that you inherited." Like like the end of a letter, like love so and so.
Yeah, right.
Love, comma, the kid that you inherited when you decided to shack up with dad. It's a mug that says that. I'm like, appropriate, real appropriate.
That's funny.
So that was cute.
He for sure had assistance from either dad or his mom to get you a gift.
Yes, he had assistance from his dad, and I thought it was cute.
It is cute.
So
that is super cute.
What's with Mother's Day coming up? What's your best Mother's Day? What was one that stands out?
I don't know. We've always, I do have to say, Miles, again, there's a difference between Miles was always a mama's boy until he got to about puberty. Then teenagers go through this weird thing, especially boys, where they hate everyone's guts until they are about 15. So
Yeah.
you go through that phase where he's like a young 17. I know he just turned 17, but still kind of on the young side where it's kind of like, oh yeah, I got to get someone a present for this holiday. But I do have to say that Gabrielle has always she's like an incredibly thoughtful gift giver.
Really?
She's like, she really thinks about it. Like she really takes the time. And even if it's just like some flowers and she found a picture that she printed and put it in a frame and gets a card, there's times that she's still, even as old, like even her age, I say as old as she is, she's 22, but even at her age, she'll still make things. And she's done something like that pretty much every Mother's Day. And I'm probably going to sound like an asshole. Like I can't think of one that just kind of jumps out like we did some big event.
Yeah.
Mother's Day, because it's usually like, do you want to go to, like, there've been a couple that we've went to brunch, but it's usually whatever it is that she gets me because she takes the time to make it. And she does a lot of that stuff with all of her friends. I mean, and like when she gives a gift. So like for Miles, when like he just had his birthday, when he was little, he was obsessed with sharks for several years. Like everything was sharks. And he wears a pair of shark slippers and he has sharks on his swim trunks. So it's still kind of there. But when she got his birthday present, she put it in like a little kid's shark birthday bag. And then got him something specifically that she knew that he would like, that wasn't necessarily like, oh, I got you a gift card. Or, she thinks of something he would specifically like. And so every Mother's Day, she's always done something like that.
Yeah.
What's funny is I see all those TikToks. It's like, what's the perfect Mother's Day? And it's the ones that have a bunch of kids, like school age kids. They're like, to be left the fuck alone. Like to be
Which
away.
is so crazy. Like I didn't find out until recently, like some mothers really spend their Mother's Day. Like you take care of the kids, husband or father or whoever it may be, you take care of the kids. I'm going to go have a day. Right. I didn't know that was a thing until recently. Like I grew up knowing that Mother's Day, you have to gift mother and it's whatever she wants, but you're still like hanging out with her.
Yeah, you're supposed to see your mother on Mother's Day. I'm just
excited. I get to surprise my mom this Mother's Day. She doesn't know I'm coming in.
Oh, well, then we better.
It's a secret.
Well, you'll be there by the time.
I'll be there by the time this episode comes out, so we should be good. But.
So you should be fine.
Yeah.
So I never got that either, because like Justin, we always went and made sure we saw his mom on Mother's Day, and the kids always came over on Mother's Day. And like, that's just what you're supposed to do. Like, I don't care, even if I'm like cooking, like I might cook on, for us on Mother's Day, whatever, it doesn't matter. Like they're there. I never did get the whole thing of your perfect Mother's Day is like to be away from all of you fucking assholes. Like, it's like, no, I'm not like that. I always wanted them to be around.
Yeah, no, I think I would rather like hang out with the kids that made me a mom, you know?
Yeah, no, that's the way that I am. I would say like, I wouldn't mind like the spa day for like my birthday.
For sure.
That's
that's something that, like I said this in a previous episode. I think I didn't really truly understand like pampering myself. Like even when I lived alone, I feel like I took it for granted. Running around with the dog and with crew and like doing things that we need to do and like actually taking care of a household and not just myself in an apartment. I'm like, oh my God, I love just soaking in a bath or doing a face mask or like just even putting lotion on, right? Like dry elbows, putting lotion on. I'm like, oh, I needed this for myself.
Do you know I never went to like a real spa until I was like in my late 30s?
I don't think I've ever been to a real spa.
A real spa. Like you go in and you obviously have to pick whatever the service is, but like you can definitely tell it's a spa. Like you go in and there's like the nice hot tub in the locker room there, and it's not like a locker room, it's like a fancy ass locker room. Like it's a place you can hang out. You can get and all the stuff like it had a salon, but the salon was really separate. That was just for getting your hair did or your nails did,
right?
But the actual spa, like they had the place you can hang out, and they're like for and they all talk very quiet, and it's all very chill, and everything smells good,
and it's green.
and you have spa water and you have snacks and you could just hang out, and they're like, you can just lounge here in as long as you want because you've paid for the service. So
Right.
it's like, if you decided you were going to get a massage at like 9 a.m., you could hang out in the spa the rest of the damn day, just doing whatever. And it wasn't like a huge one. So it's not like the spas that are going to also have like a restaurant and things like that in it. But it was fairly nice. It was fairly nice.
Yeah.
That wasn't until like 2019. It was like the first time I ever went to a real spa. Now I've had massages, but like, you know, you go to these places that are like day spa and salon, which is basically, hey, it's a salon and they have like 5 or 6 massage rooms on like
Right.
or, you know, so it's not the same thing. But I kind of think of, I would like to go to the actual, like the real day spas that
Mhm.
where we could get lunch and we could hang out by a pool.
A resort.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Like some of the best spas are usually at like the casino resorts because
Really?
people spend money there. So if you happen to be like by like it's got to be a fairly large, like a larger casino resort, not
Right.
not like what we're accustomed to in St. Louis where it's a fucking riverboat. Like it's like
Right.
a real casino, and they have them in several cities now. Like, but yeah, it's just like they tend to have decent spas. Kind of like, well, in St. Louis, the only one that I can think of is the Lumiere Casino because it's connected to a Four Seasons, and the Four Seasons has a spa, but a lot of casino resorts. So like when we talk about self-care and just being healthy, like do shit like that.
Right.
And don't feel guilty for doing shit like that.
Right.
And like kind of to wrap
When life kicks you down, moral of the story.
oh shit, I was gonna
Life
say to
kicks you
wrap it
down,
all up,
go to the spa.
go to the fucking spa, take a break.
Anywho.
Take a break.
Oh.
And you know what? Like at the end of the day, like I think with all the stuff that we talked about, positive, negative, there's gonna be some chaos. And if you're a business owner, you got to do what you can to calm the chaos. But the thing,
But also don't let them make you an asshole.
right? Don't let them make you an asshole. But you know what? Don't feel guilty. You know,
Right.
it's going to be priorities. Sometimes you have to pick over dealing with somebody else's emergency.
Right.
And, you know, and that shit's going to come up. So you can't handle it all.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's okay. And sometimes you can handle it all.
And that's great.
And that's great. But don't feel you're not an asshole, and don't feel guilty when you can't, because
Right.
there's going to be instances that you can't.
Right.
And
Exactly.
that's just because life happens. Bring it on home, Emma.
All right. Well, we hope you enjoyed today's episode. And as usual, if you want to hear a certain topic, if you're looking for advice, if you want to be a guest on the show, you can contact us at our emails. Mine's Emma at 99 Creatives and
Katy at 99 Creatives.
.com, obviously, but or you can reach out to us on our Instagram, which would be at F__K your pod. Okay, bye.
You're supposed to say, and do the damn thing. That was
Oh yeah, don't forget to do the damn thing.